On.
Good evening, boys and girls. How are we doing today? It is Sunday. It is January 16th, and we are sitting in the lounge. Nice roaring fire going. Okay, maybe not a roaring fire. We're sitting next to a heater. It's pretty close.
Close enough for him at work. Yeah,
Nice comfy chairs. Hey, I got a new chair. Nice comfy chairs.
He got a new chair. So I took his old chair.
And it's time for our lounge chat. So welcome everybody. Glad you're here. Glad you can join us. And we are talking tabletop role-playing games today.
You know, we're supposed to introduce ourselves, right?
We are.
Yes.
Okay.
You know, so
Steve.
That whole spiel. You're being a goober, but he's a butt tonight. So I'm Joanne Wallace, the angel of Angel Citadel, and obviously the one that's, in the know of what we're supposed to do, I guess. I don't know.
Doesn't know. He's an idiot. Don't listen to him.
With my husband, Josh Wallace. Hey, everybody. You'll know him as Count Zero ASL almost everywhere else. So, yeah. Tonight is a fun night. Maybe. I don't know.
Maybe. Chaos. Possibly.
Chaos incarnate. We're going to talk TTRPGs, which is what our normal shtick is. But tonight we're going to discuss class versus classless systems.
You know, there's a lot of games that don't have any class. Let's see here. I'm trying to think of one. This is not working.
You think you're just... Why do I put up with you again?
Oh, wait, I don't have any idea. I'm not sure why that's the case either. No, let's...
All right, so what we mean when we talk about class versus classless is that when you play a game like Dungeons and Dragons, you get a list of characters you can play. Barbarian, Bard, Druid, Cleric, all those fun classes.
I thought we were talking about games with class. You know, the highbrow games like the snooty TTRPGs
those
versus the ones where we're just slumming, No?
No.
You sure?
I'm sure.
Okay. Never mind then. See, I told you not to listen to me.
I'm into you tonight.
I don't know. I'm just feeling froggy,
Well, you know what? Your froggy's going to get your ass in trouble.
It is.
Yes, it is. I know where you sleep.
You do.
I do. It's right beside me. And I'll go eat onions. Don't think I won't.
Oh, jeez.
I'll go get battered fried onions. And mozzarella sticks. See how you feel then. You're going to be super froggy. Anyway. So, any of you that follow my Twitter will know that one of the things that I asked was what would be easier for a new player to learn when it comes to a game is class versus classless. And there was a very good discussion. And I was very impressed and pleased because my followers and the other people that joined in on the TTRPG community actually did a good discussion. Mm-hmm. It didn't help me make a decision at all, but it gave me a lot of food for thought and it gave me a lot of information. So when I'm talking about classes, I'm talking about like D&D. You've got your specific roles you play: the barbarian, the fighter, the cleric, the druid, and then you can turn around and get classless systems, and those are things like Shadowrun. Now, when I'm talking classes, I don't mean the archetypes because I know somebody brought it up. But in Shadowrun, those archetypes that are listed are not actually the classes. They're meant to be examples of what you can build in Shadowrun. For example, the Street Mage. To build a Street Mage in Shadowrun, you've got to have magic. And then magic is its own little skill in Shadowrun. And you get a list of skills, and you use those skills to build your character, and the archetypes are examples of what skills you need to build to do this type of character.
Well, it's not even just skills, right? In Shadowrun, it's what kind of cyberware, what kind of gear, what kind of contacts, what kind of, whatever.
There's a lot to Shadowrun.
There is.
Yes. Thank you. I love them. I got them. And they've got little bells. I love them. Sorry, I got distracted.
So anyway, yeah, the archetypes are not actually classes. They're designed to give you an idea of what's both possible and what's typically useful and typically thematic for the setting.
Yes.
Whereas, like you said, in Dungeons and Dragons or Pathfinder or
Blades in the Dark. Even Cypher System is very class specific.
Has classes. They're very customizable, don't get me wrong.
Yes,
but they're still classes.
Warrior, Adept, Speaker. So one of the things that we discussed was whether or not it's easier for somebody who's new to TTRPGs to learn a classless. Fate's another one that's not that doesn't have classes.
Also true.
But yeah, one of the things that we were discussing was whether or not it's easier for somebody who's new to the role-playing environment to learn a classless system. Like, we're not even putting Shadowrun or GURPS on the table, but like Fate, right? Or if it'd be easier for them to learn D&D. And I got a lot of feedback about most of it's going to depend on the players. I have not played that one. I will have to look at it.
One of the things that I've always considered, and this kind of gets borne out when you look at things like the Dungeon Master's Guide or a Game Master's Guide for whatever system, right? Typically, there's a section in there that says, okay, if you've got a new player, what you need to do as a GM is you're the one guiding them. You're the one walking them through how to play and how to build a character and things like that, right? So with class versus classless system, what I would say is if you're a player by yourself or if you're a player walking in cold, a class system is probably easier to learn than a classless system. If you've got a good GM, however, a classless system is probably better to learn than a classed system. It's kind of like learning to drive a stick and then learning to drive an automatic versus the reverse.
Okay, I'll disagree on that one because it's easier to learn to drive a stick after you've learned how to drive an automatic, because when you start learning to drive the automatic, that gives you your gas, your brake, and knowledge of how to steer the vehicle. The stick just adds an extra element.
That's what I'm saying.
Okay.
It is
just making sure we're on the same page because my first car was a stick. It was a 4-on-the-floor F-150 that, yeah, it was a gift from my dad, and it had more. It ran on prayers and duct tape.
But no, the automatic handicaps learning the stick. So all you have to really do is learn the clutch and the shifting, and everything else works the same basically as an automatic car. In classed systems, they're typically built with some nuances. But if you've already learned classless systems, you've already got things like assigning attributes and skills and gear and probably some sort of magic system or something, or some kind of special mechanic there where you don't have to worry about, whether or not you can pick that up in a classed system. You just have to worry about what the specifics of building a class character are.
Yeah. If you've got a system that a lot of people don't talk about, then it's harder to learn than if you do with one that's often talked about. Unless it's actually well written. GURPS and Shadowrun do not count.
No.
They are not well written. Well, no, let me phrase that. They're well written, but piss poorly organized. Shadowrun's main problem was the organization. You get how to build your character, and then you've got to go to the back of the book to discover what the skills are and what they did. Mm-hmm. Traveler does it slightly better, but it's still you start here, and then you've got to flip to the back of the book. Traveler is also. Would you consider Traveler a classless or a class system, or 6 of one, half dozen of another? Traveler is a very
kind of a unique,
odd game. I call it an outlier because the big thing about Traveler is that to create your character, you play a mini game. You start off and you decide where you grew up, your background, and then you decide where you're going to school. Are you going to school, like to university?
Yes.
Yes, Monty Cook games tend to be well written and organized. There are some issues. They tend to not have indexes, and I like indexes because I'd like to be able to go to the back of the book and look at what pages they are. The specific word I'm looking for is on. But other than that, yeah, they're fairly well written and organized. I find it easier to use the Cipher system and Numenera and Invisible Sun on my computer with PDFs because of the hyperlinking. No, I'm not joking about no index. There's
an index. Okay, it's just not a good one.
There is not an index.
There is too.
There is not.
Yes, there is.
No, there isn't.
Yes, there is.
No, there isn't.
Pull up the PDF.
Okay, fine, I will. Let me go find it. Give me a minute.
By all means.
Don't you start with me. I will come over there and where is it?
No, they Thank you. No, they do have an index. It's just not great. So the thing about Monty Cook's stuff,
Cipher system core rulebook.
All the way to the end.
All the way to the end.
Yep.
Okay.
All the way to the end.
Look, it's a picture.
Just wait. Scroll back.
Character sheet.
Keep going. Keep going. Keep going.
What character sheet?
Right there. What is that?
What the hell is this?
What is that? What does it say right at the top there?
That is a 2-page index. It doesn't count.
I said it has one. I also said it doesn't
count. That does not count. Okay, so for me to count something as an index, if you're looking at this, if you guys have your Cipher core rule book, it's page 444. 444 in the PDF and on the page itself. It's got the word, and then it's got one page.
That's what I'm getting at. So,
except for a couple of them, they've got like the Geomtrusion is 237 and 408. But there are
that's
other
a misnomer.
Ones.
And that the problem with the Cipher system and the problem with Numenera is the way they've got the rulebook written.
Yes, it does have an index. It just sucks ass.
Just a second, okay?
No seconds.
Are you done?
Maybe.
Are you sure?
No.
Are you sure?
Yes, but my book has an index. It's just a sucky index.
Okay. The problem with Monte Cook games, the Cipher System, and Numenera, okay, is that the way they wrote the rules sections of the book, they talk about the same concept in several locations. And sometimes the information duplicates, which is occasionally useful, and sometimes it doesn't. In the index, it does not have every page reference to a particular topic. So what you end up having to do is start on the page in the index, and then they're fairly good about in the text saying, if you want more information on this, go to page whatever. So you have to kind of leapfrog.
Which is annoying.
I don't like that organization. It's not my favorite. It's not very user friendly. I would rather, like Joanne, have pages and all the pages in the index.
Hope's Horizon, the starter kit that we've released, does not have an index because I didn't view 100 pages as being big enough to actually need an index.
Only that,
I released the full version of, not only that, the current one that's on there is based on the Cipher System. So you have to have the Cipher System core rulebook to play Hope's Horizon as it stands right now. So that's the other reason. When we release the full setting, I will include an index for the setting stuff, but the character sheet, the character stuff that refers back to the core rulebook will not have an index. It will only be the stuff that I personally have put in with regards to setting or the equipment.
Now, when we re-release Hope's Horizon with the system that you and I are building right now,
it will have an index.
It will have an index.
It will have a proper index.
One that doesn't suck. So, yes.
If this word is used in these places, it will be listed as being used in these places.
Yep.
Now, as much as I'm bashing on the index, I will state that the rest of the book is much better organized. It is very stepstone organized.
Mm-hmm.
When I built Hope's Horizon for Cipher System, I followed that stepstone organization. Here's your descriptor, here's your species, here's your type, here's your abilities, and then the rest of the book had the information about the setting of Hope's Horizon.
Mm-hmm. Yes, please don't misunderstand. We're not bagging on Monte Cook Games or the Cipher System or anything like that. It's just one of those nitpicky beefs that we both have.
I freely admit
about the index
that when the index is in the PDF, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter because there's this cute little section right hand side that says find, and I can type in whatever I'm trying to look up and then click that button until I find the information that I actually need.
And
yes,
I use it
it's annoying. Yes, but I've had to do that with all of the other systems that I've run. Shadowrun, on the other hand, typically does a very good system. But we're not going to talk about Shadowrun because they're fuckers. Yes, index.
I would actually even say D&D has a good index.
D&D has a very good index. So, like, for example, Cipher System lists their thing, like, descriptor 38. Or doesn't do much, 67. Or, climbing, 226, which doesn't cover all the other places that climbing shows up. Whereas if you come over to Shadowrun, let me find a good one. Not only does the so I'm looking at the 20th edition of the 20th anniversary of the 4th edition book. And so it's got BioWare, SR 470, 86, 355 to 47. And then it goes in and lists other books that you can find this in, like AU 63 to 67. What was AU again? Augmented something.
Augmented reality, maybe?
I don't. It's been such a long time.
One of the source books. It goes and it provides a master index not only for the core book, but for all the source books as well, which is like way cool.
Yeah, augmented reality was AR. So I don't remember what AU was.
I don't know.
I could go look it up though.
Whatever.
Anyways. So that's my big bash on the that's my only big bash on the Cypher core rulebook is the index, because I like indexes. I like indexes when it comes to a hard copy.
Yes.
I'm not as concerned about it. Augmentation. That was the
cyberware. Yeah.
It's the cyberware stuff. All right, so I'm not as concerned about index for PDFs, but I do require bookmarks from PDFs. Mm-hmm. And if your book doesn't have bookmarks, I ain't gonna use it.
Yep.
Not in the Cypher system, there will not be.
No, when we
release it in our personal, we haven't crossed that bridge yet.
Mm-hmm.
But there will not be a hard copy of Hope's Horizon in the Cypher system in hard. We decided not to go that route because it's a very expensive route to go.
Not yet. We're working on it. So just as a side note for those of you just joining us, if this is your first time, welcome to the lounge. As you can see, we are interacting with the chat at the moment. So if you have questions, TTRPG related or whatever, drop them in chat and we'll talk about them live. So yes, do you have your own system? We are going to be building the Citadel system. At least that's our working title.
I think it's a perfectly acceptable title, and I don't want to change it.
That's fine.
It's will be cute. Think about it.
So.
System.
It will be like the Cypher system, a genre independent rule set.
Yes.
So you can take it and play, whatever kind of game you want to play with it. It's in development. It's going to take a while, and that's where that's at. So you're
not going to pay to play test the system. Yeah. We're going to pick out specific people to join us to play test it. We'll probably do most of the initial play testing offline, not Twitch, not streaming it or whatever. And then when we actually have a working system that's not, what the fuck were you smoking? We'll release it, and we'll probably do another round where we stream it for people to see it. So and then I don't know. Yeah. I don't know what's going to come after that, because first we got to get the system built.
Well, not only that.
So,
yeah. When we start getting ready to do playtesting, alpha playtesting and beta playtesting, things like that, We will probably go to our Discord server first and offer that.
But hey, you're there, Fook.
You are there now, so yeah.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it was a joke, but in case somebody else doesn't know you as well as we do.
So.
We're not so popular that we're going to make people pay to play with us.
Heck, I'm not a jerk.
I am. I'm a complete asshole. Just ask my kids. I'm so mean.
You're not mean.
Just ask my granddaughter. She'll tell you how mean I am.
She'll just start crying. She's like
exactly
1.5.
She'll tell everybody how mean I am. I was babysitting my granddaughter the other day, and she got mad at me because she wanted to fling herself down the basement steps, and I wouldn't let her. And I scooped her up before she could. And the crying and screaming was just horrible. And it's like, dude, I'm still not gonna let you throw yourself down the stairs. I mean, I'm sorry. I kind of like you intact and in one piece.
So class versus classless systems.
we had a topic. Shh. Hush. So class versus classless systems. One of the big things that was brought up is that no matter which system you use, you're going to need a good GM.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to need to have your instructions clearly defined. One of the notations that I read was the fact that the person had a really hard time with classless systems going from Dungeons and Dragons to Fate was because of the choices now available. It's a lot harder for you to step outside of that mental box. Plus, there's a lot with, I guess, Fate that is a lot that's open to interpretation between GM and player.
Yep.
Whereas with D&D, a barbarian is a barbarian is a barbarian is a barbarian. Sure, you can take different totems at level 3, but you could take level 1 barbarians and line them up, and they're all level 1 barbarians. It's like the joke about the Kobold football team.
Unless you're Acto.
Classless. The first system I personally GM'd was Shadowrun.
Mine was classed. I did the original red box for D&D.
And that's the other thing, right? So when you look at a class system like D&D or Pathfinder, you get skills, right? And then you have a set list of skills. And these are the skills that you get, and these are the only skills you get. But then you turn around and you look at something like Fate, and you don't get a set list of skills.
Ooh. Hey, how's it going, Nasser?
The system that I'm playing at the moment, I know that's horrible. I tend to prefer more narrative systems as I've gotten older, so I tend to lean more towards like Fate or Cypher or I don't know. What's the narrative one? Oh, Ironsworn has been awesome. I love it. It's so cute. And I'll go out and throw a shout out for Honey and Hot Wax. I haven't gotten to play it yet. I'd like to. Yeah. Defiant is looking really sexy too. Yeah, I don't have a preferred system. I just like to play TTRPGs.
I'm one of the weird ones. My preferred system changes with whichever is captivating me at the moment.
Invisible Sun.
Right now it's Invisible Sun. Prior to that it was Numenera. Mm. After that, I don't know. We're chatting about doing like a low life game after that. So I
We'll
may
see.
come back around to Cyberpunk. There may be something else by the time I'm done with Invisible Sun. We've got a ways to go.
Yeah. I don't see how it's my fault. I'm not the one who burned down my house.
Torch.
Skadoosh.
Pick that theater.
Maybe.
They did. Oh shoot. We do. We have.
I have played Alien. Let's see what I have played Alien.
Tales from the Loop.
Tales from the Loop. I liked that one. Corellis was cool. I have not seen Morkborg yet. I've heard some good things about it, but it's not. Finding people I want to play with is hard.
Yeah.
And finding time to play with the people that I want to play with is hard.
Free League Games is a company, Fook. They're a publishing house.
Yeah, it's really hard. So my time has gotten really, really tight. Like yeah. Really, really tight. So our oldest, who's still in school, supposed to graduate this year, joined the High School Musical. So I have to they get picked up from school at 11:15, taken to work, and then they go from work to play practice, and then they come home to do their homework, and then I've got to cook dinner, and then after that I'm either working on one of my classes or working on this system that we're trying to build and figure it out. I love them. Aren't they cute?
And at the moment, I'm still looking for a job and interviewing like crazy. And
dude, so he had 6 interviews last week. It was insane. It was like every, and then he got like 4 calls outside of that.
Mm-hmm. So I mean, it's only a matter of time, and then I'm back at work from 7 to
9 to 5.
You know, whatever I get home. And when I'm home, then it's, we're working on the system and making dinner and, doing whatever, right?
Parenting.
So
the word you're seeking is parenting.
Parenting. And then on the weekends, we've got our games. But yeah, it's crazy. It's going to be a lot of fun, I think, Nasser. It's going to be a lot of fun.
We've got the dice mechanics down. The math works out really well on those. The issue we're encountering is trying to figure out the best way to do the character creation. Because I like the mini game from Traveler, because it's really awesome. I don't know if you played Traveler, but the way Traveler works is that you start with your background and you walk through it, basically rolling dice. And they've got this lovely flowchart. I can pull that up. Yeah. On how to do it. Where's my flowchart? Stop that. Let me see.
You didn't actually want to see it, did you?
There we go. All right. It's kind of blurry, but...
Yep. Not the page of the picture, the other page.
This is flowchart. Which page has this way?
There you go.
So the way it works is that you start up here with characteristics. Roll 2 dice for every characteristics. Calculate dice modifier. And then you background skills. choose EDU, DM plus 3 background skills. EDU is education. It's their system. And then you go through and you go pre-career education. Honestly, one, because I didn't really think of that, and two, I don't know how much people would enjoy something like that. That is a good idea. What do you think? Do you think people would enjoy a two different character creations for the system? It would give them options.
Well, I mean, let's face it, it worked for Shadowrun. Right?
Yeah.
I mean, you've got the whole point buy.
The only way to really do it is if we put it in the core rulebook, because I'm not going to do this whole core rulebook having it one way and then you've got to buy this other book. No, that's bullshit.
Yeah, no, that's fine.
So, and technically, Shadowrun had 3 ways to do it. So Shadowrun has 3.
This is true. Priority, point buy, and then the background one.
Yeah.
Is it easier to keep lore of homebrew setting controlled in a class or a classless setting?
Neither. The way you keep the lore of the homebrew setting controlled is by having copacious notes as the GM. Whether you're class or classless isn't going to matter when it comes to the homebrew setting itself. It's only going to come to matter when the player or the player's character, or I should say the player's character, is interacting with that homebrew setting. I will give you a bit of advice when it comes to homebrew settings, especially if they're trying to get information from NPCs about history. Remember the fact that nobody remembers shit the same way, unless they're coached in remembering it. And if you've got 2 different countries that have a war with each other, those 2 countries are going to remember the wars differently. Like if you look at our history, the U.S. histories, the United States history, and then you go look at English history, when it comes to World War II, they're 2 different things. They have a lot of the same stuff, but their thought processes and whatnot change the way they look at the war. Because England got bombed pretty fucking heavily. And but when it comes to other stuff in the homebrew setting, yeah, the only way you're going to keep it settled.
So, no, you can't.
No, you can and you can't. And I say it that way is because you can, because typically the way you limit a classless setting or a classless system is by limiting what they can collect at specific time. Like with Traveler, the way they did it is that as you're rolling the dice to go through it, you either get mustered out, and that limits where they limit it. It's called an artificial limitation. You can have specific abilities that you can say, if you take X, you cannot take Y. Like in Shadowrun, for example, you if you're playing a magic race, like an adept, they have what's called a physical adept. When you're a physical adept, if you're playing like a physical adept, you can't take magical classes, and then certain bioware and cyberware counteract adept spells. So what you do is you create an either or situation. Either you can have X or have Y. Like in 3.5 D&D, if you played a wizard, you couldn't wear heavy armor because it had an arcane casting.
Spell failure. Yeah. But realistically, in my head anyway, the issue with classes or classless systems is that um, you can't you can't really control what people play in the sense that they're they can do whatever the rules will allow. So any combination of skills, any combination of abilities, any combination of equipment or special magic items or whatever that they can come up with in their head to optimize or to do whatever that they want to do, they can do. And it's not limited to
But you can say no.
You can say no. I don't like to, but you can. The difference with classes is that those choices, while not all made for you, some of them have been made for you. So if you're going to play a barbarian, you're focusing on strength and constitution, I think it is, right?
Yeah.
And you're not focusing on something else.
Is 3.5, not 5e, because 5e made a lot of changes. Where yes, with 5e you can play pretty much whatever you want.
Mm-hmm.
They removed all the cross
a lot of the
restrictions that you would find in 3.5 or in the Pathfinder 1A. Things like you could be now with 5e, you can be a barbarian paladin. I'm not sure why you'd want to combine those, but you could be. But in 3.5 you couldn't be, because barbarians were required to be chaotic and paladins were required to be lawful. They removed that alignment. Good, bad, that's what they did.
So that's kind of the discussion on class versus classless.
Yeah. So yes, Spook, you can provide false limitations by limiting what they can do. And you can even state, no, I don't think that's going to work with what I'm planning. Maybe we should try this route instead. I'm not a big proponent of just coming out and saying no. But I am a proponent of saying, no, I don't feel like this is going to work. Let's come over here and discuss something else.
Well, and that gets back to the conversation we've had before about the need to sit down with your players in like a session 0 and understand, okay, what do you want to play? And you understand, what do I want to run? And we, dicker with them until they meet somewhere in the middle.
Yes.
That's
why we're such big proponents of session 0.
Well, and not even just session 0, right? But session 1, 2, 3, and 4, where you're having that conversation in game. Tell me what you think you're going to do. Okay, let's work out how this gets done.
Yeah, like, I'll throw out an example. We played a superhero game, and one of the when I made my character, I was talking with the DM, and I said that I kind of wanted to make them a combination of Batman and Tony Stark, because I thought that'd be kind of interesting to do. And he didn't tell me no. He just said that he would prefer that I didn't do the brooding loner, because it's a little hard to have a group playing together if you've got a brooding loner. And I agreed with him. I still made that character, but instead of making them more Batman, I made them more Tony Stark, which is like the uber socialite. I'm going to talk to everybody.
So, yeah. Those conversations facilitate all kinds of different gaming. And the more you have those, the better off you are. In at least my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
I think, it should definitely be less GM fiat and more, hey, let's all figure out what this looks like to have fun together. It's that way everybody gets excited.
Yeah. And when we say everybody, we also include the GM. The GM needs to be having fun too. Because if it stops being fun for the GM and turns into a chore, then the GM's not going to want to run. I speak from experience on that one.
Mm-hmm.
If it gets to the point where you dread logging in to play, there's a problem. Well, session 0 also allows for other things, like discussing lines and veils.
Mm-hmm.
Discussing how they want to interact with each other, especially. So you're talking Pathfinder 1E. It's a really awesome game. It'll give them a chance to discuss with each other what they want to do. How do they want their group together? Like, I had one group that was playing Pathfinder 1E that decided that they wanted to be all part of a mercenary guild. Yep. House rules. What house rules do you want to have? Like whether or not a nat 20 on a skill check is automatic success. I know people that say that it is, and I know people that say that it isn't.
Mm-hmm.
But that's something to define and write down in a session 0.
Absolutely agree. So, anybody else have any questions? Again, just as for those joining us, this is a very informal discussion. We'll typically come with a topic to discuss, but feel free to ask questions either about the topic or about something else. We'd rather talk about what our audience would like to hear. Are you having problems in your games? Do you have a question about how do I make this narrative thing happen? Do I want to use this rule system or that rule system for this kind of a situation, or whatever, right? We want to help you. That's what this chat session is our opportunity to help you. So feel free to drop those in the chat, and then Fook can derail us and everything will be fun. So
yeah, but we're not upset about that.
No.
We'd rather, yes, we come in with a topic, because when you're not here, it's generally just us yelling into the void. But we don't mind you coming in to, if it's important enough, then I'll stay on topic. Like when I get on my soapboxes. I will happily get on my soapboxes. Nobody wants to be on my soapbox. But we would rather have our discussions with you, because that's why we're here. That's why Angel Citadel got started, was to give people a place to talk, a place to get information. Yeah, but they don't talk to us.
They don't talk nearly as often as you do.
Peer at us and watch.
And it's like you said, Joya. When we started Angel Citadel, we started it as a blog, and it's a very static way to say things, right? We did advice articles every Monday, and
for a year,
they were good advice articles. If I say so myself, we did a pretty good job with that, and we're
still doing reviews.
We're still doing reviews, but they're kind of static. I mean, it's us. Yeah, this is our opinion. Here's what we think. But there's not much interaction going back and forth. And one of the things that we envisioned with this Twitch chat was
to try and get
feedback and answer your questions and help in a more direct way than we were with just a static blog post. So,
well, the other thing that I freely admit was that Angel Citadel also started as part of a dare. I was having a discussion with some other people about the fact that there weren't any good places to find reviews on books because most people who do buy the books that we buy don't always don't always write reviews. And I was fussing about it, and somebody commented, "Why don't you do that?" And then I went to Josh and said, "Hey, what do you think about us doing X?" And he's like, all right, let's do it. And boom, here we are. Over a year later.
And then it evolved, and instead of just being, here, let's talk about other people's stuff, it's, let's put out our own stuff, and let's, let's have conversations about this sort of thing with other creators, with other members of the TTRPG community, and see what they think, and get to know people, and maybe get to help some people. And it just sort of morphed, and that's not a bad thing. That's really not a bad thing. No, it's not what we thought we were going to do. I remember when we first started this, we swore up and down that we'd never do Twitch. And, here we are. But that was, our needs changed. Our thoughts about what we wanted to do and who we wanted to be changed.
I'm not super enthused about doing Twitch. I mean, it's not a bad platform, and I'm enjoying it now, but it's still, oh my God, what are we doing?
Yeah.
Because, we weren't ready. Well,
but
I wasn't ready.
You're never ready.
You're never ready.
Sometimes you have to jump off the cliff and hope there's water deep enough at the bottom to catch you. Usually you want to measure it first. But, I'm kind of dumb that way.
Dude, that's crazy.
Oh, jeez. TikTok's a zoo.
Dude, it's no joke. Although I will freely admit that I do have TikTok on my phone. I like watching the Shut up, you. This is about me right now. I like watching the little cooking videos that they do.
Oh, gee.
Like the dude that made the giant ship of chocolate. That was awesome. Because I like chocolate.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. Some of your chocolate building ones are pretty cool. Like the dude that built that giant Excalibur or whatever.
Dude, that was awesome.
That was sick.
I watched this dude, and he built the Sword in the Stone completely out of chocolate and candy. And it was like, wow, I want to eat it. See, I could never do something like that because I'd want to eat it, and I have a hard time letting things go. So when I make stuff, I have a hard time letting them go. But if I made an entire chocolate thing, I'd probably want to eat it immediately. But I'd have to take pictures first of look what I did. I don't even post pictures of food that I make.
I occasionally will. Not of stuff that I make, but stuff that you make, because the stuff that I make sucks.
Yeah, he'll post pictures of food that I make on Twitter often, but I don't.
Dude, seriously. Few words for you, okay? Bacon stuffed Parmesan crusted mushrooms. I have the best wife ever.
Needless to say, he likes stuffed mushrooms.
It was yum.
I make all the foods. I'll find recipes and then I'll try them. And sometimes they work out and they're really, really good. And other times it's okay, we're ordering pizza for dinner tonight.
I make a really mean biscuits and gravy.
Yes, you make a very good biscuits and gravy.
That's it.
So yeah, I made. What did I make with the? Oh, I did the pot roast.
Pot roast.
So I made bacon parmesan stuffed mushrooms with a slow cooked pot roast, baby potatoes and carrots
in a red wine sauce.
And then I made a gravy out of the juices because
it was amazing.
With fresh bread.
Yes.
And then I grilled. Yes, it is. So with recipes, you have instructions. With not winging it, you don't have instructions. When you've got, because if you look at it like D&D, right? You choose your class, and then it tells you what to pick as you level up. What you get. Like even the wizard, I mean, you get spells, but you have to pick your spell. You get to pick your spells, but that's it. Druids and clerics, you don't even get to pick your spells. It's just, boom, here's your spell list. Have fun. And then you just pick on a daily basis what spells you've got memorized or whatever. But with classless, you're just...
It does. Of the casters, it does.
Well, it gives you the most choice daily because of the amount of spell slots, but it doesn't really give you the most choice spell-wise.
Yeah.
Wizards still give you the most spell-wise. But they have a limited number of spell slots, so you tend to pick and choose your spells wisely anyways. Warlocks, well, look, warlocks are just magic sugar babies, okay? They whine and they get, here, have a magic tea. Shut up.
I'm going to tell Kelton you said that. Hey, Kelton, did you know you're a magic sugar baby?
Dude, Kelton's the one that told me about it.
Seriously?
Yes. And if you look on the internet, it's all over the place.
Oh, jeez.
Sorcerers, who your ancestor had sex with. Wizard, how many books can you fit in your library? Warlock, magic sugar baby.
Oh, jeez.
Now look, I'm not bashing on the warlock much. I just always thought it was kind of interesting. What I do find interesting, though, with a warlock, right, is you have to decide who your sugar daddy is. But then it doesn't really go into detail as to how you interact or what that pact is like. You've got to write that up. Right? So I had one character playing a warlock who sold his soul to a sex demon. His choice. And it was very edgelord. It was edgy.
That was not okay. That was not okay.
It was hilarious. But yeah.
Jay, if you ever watch this video, I still am pissed off about that character.
He got tired of the pussy jokes.
I make new characters. I make characters that I've never played before. Before I knew what he was playing, I made a Tabaxi Rogue. And then he made an edgelord warlock that made a pact with a sex demon. And then there were pussy jokes.
Oh.
And it just... Yeah.
Yes, that story. We have many stories of our lovely Jay. We love him to bits.
We do. I miss him a lot.
Yeah.
But I wanted to beat him a lot.
He's got kids and family.
He does. He's got young kids. You know, I dropped off the map when I had young kids.
You kind of have to when you've got young kids, because who wants to try and play a serious game with Blues Clues, Blues Clues?
It was horrible. Oh my gosh.
Dora.
Absolutely horrible. And I was trying to run that game.
So yeah. Yeah, I don't think we have anything else much to talk about.
I think that's it for tonight.
Yep.
So unless we've got any other questions.
Yes, I have.
Have you two ever played Warlocks?
I played a Warlock. I played whichever one's the book. I played a Celestial Warlock with the book. She had a lovely white book. And she carried it around. Her goddess patron was Selene, the Everlight. But her method of healing was considered questionable, and the DM would often get annoyed with me because her method of healing was slapping the shit out of people. She was not... Yeah. She would get annoyed when people would go off and get hurt, and so to heal them, she would smack them and lecture them.
I have played a Warlock, but for the life of me, I don't remember what it was. So it's obviously not very memorable.
Didn't you try out a Warlock in Manapot?
I don't think he was a Warlock. I thought he was a wizard.
I don't know. But yeah, I played... I've also played a Hexblade.
That might have been it.
Which was interesting. Yeah, he followed an old one and was very focused on driving people insane.
I did.
Yes.
I played a Water Genasi Warlock.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hey, how's that index looking?
Yeah, I'm off screen.
That was not off screen.
Okay. There, that's off screen.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is not for kids.
Never claimed my show was for kids.
No, we haven't.
Not at this time of night. I have run for kids, and I will probably eventually at some point run for kids again, but no.
Not soon.
Not anytime soon. I got too much shit to do. Alright. I think I'm going to call it here, because... a sword that casts heal wounds is awesome. I loved stabbing people with my sword and then them screaming as I pull it out, and they're immediately healed because it was funny. I was not a nice person. I typically tend to play not nice warlock. Well, a lot of my characters tend to be not very nice. I had a paladin that was lawful asshole, and I deliberately played her as lawful asshole, and there was a reason for it. Because somebody else was being a pissy bitch in the party, and the DM wanted me to piss them off a lot, and so they'd quit. So, ta-da! Who pisses people off really good?
All right. So, if you like what we do, and
if you
enjoyed us, you love us, follow us on Twitch, subscribe on YouTube. We now have merch. Can you say merch?
That's insane.
It is crazy. It's on Spring.
Merch. We got merch on Spring.
You can check our link tree there. It's got the link to it. Go where we'd love to see you stream with it. We'd love to see you go to conventions with it. Just take a picture and send it to us. That'd be cool. You can also subscribe to our Patreon. There's some exclusive benefits out there. And if you don't want to do that, you can buy us Ko-fi. And do a little one-time thing just to say, hey, we
You're
appreciate you. You're cute. Thanks. Other than that, we are back every Friday with Angel Citadel Plays Games.
Yep.
We're finishing up Halo 4.
Yep.
And we will be moving into Grim Dawn.
Very exciting stuff.
Very exciting stuff. Then every other Sunday is Invisible Sunday until February 13th, at which point every Sunday becomes Invisible Sunday because you can go back to Manapot Studios and check out The Hole in the World with the great Zamino and his amazing cast of Visley. Every Sunday night, you can join us here, 8:30 p.m. Eastern Time. We're going to chat TTRPGs. We're going to have some laughs. You can laugh at us because we're kind of goofy that way.
Yep.
And we'll take all questions. So
we'll take questions, answer questions, talk to people, randomly yell things into the void. We're good at that. So yeah, that's it for tonight.
From our Citadel to yours.
Happy gaming.
Happy gaming.